Hi, I'm Krista. Daddy. Oh, I heard about that moment. Oh my God. Yes.
Oh my God.
I heard about that moment.
Will someone be sitting in that chair? Do you think?
Yeah, Chrissy's going to be sitting there. Do we need more chairs?
I stole that one so I can sit
Are
on my
short on chair. You go. That was my mother. How about them apples? She was an apple
fine.
girl, wasn't she? Hi, I'm
All
Krista.
right, don't worry.
Maybe you want to hold
That one over? Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you're the neighbor, right? I think you fixed that electric scooter several times.
Which you guys were totally against.
Absolutely. I know it was the stupidest idea out there, but that's my mother. What the fuck? Who cares? You know? I knew her a little better than you all did, so that's okay, right?
How are you going to feel if something happens to her?
time of life.
Yeah, that's right. I recognize you here.
Nothing ever happens.
Next weekend we're going to California, well, Central Southern, for this type of thing for just past this
That
spring.
was my last real experience.
Yep, this is where we're at.
Good.
I
Come on in. It's getting full. I'm John.
Well, now you've got the other Maya coming.
Her daughter.
Well, my mother, this is a wheat peel from Guatemala. We're all wearing wheat peelers, all the sisters. Oh, nice. So she knit them.
She knit them?
No. She knit, she added the knit.
Already
And I reconstructed it. But then, so all of us are wearing, we collect the peelers and then add them.
She would do the
Yeah.
trigger that would have
Show
shown
us
up.
spirit whose face from. Where's that dog?
These other men kind of messed with whatever that marker is in the blood. So now he's just sweet.
She's a roller coaster of a mother. So I'm going to be real honest about that. You know?
We're good for now. But I'll
So
let
I
you go.
keep thinking, well, it's like
So Rick is the oldest.
life is what we did. Marriages on the births and the divorces. And another.
I'm Krista.
I'm Tara.
Oh, you are? Hey, nice to see you.
Surprised, right? Yeah. No one tell us that?
Yeah, birds. I'm a neighbor and an old friend of mine. You guys all look so great. I did work on the house on the plumbing. Before Robert.
I was happy to make sure. Is anybody sitting there?
I can stand.
Okay, right, 4, yes. Yeah. All talented permitted artists. And the Oh yeah, I bought her.
This is one with a purple robe. You know, from a particular village. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, because they're all from different villages. It's actually Spanish identified and said, you guys should bake it this way so we know. Really? And so the village is picked up. So you now know where the people are from by their. I'm Rika. Paul. Yeah. Okay. All right, I did it. Great. Krista. She was born there. You know, my mother was born there.
I thought she was more.
Or Rico? So I talked to him.
If it ever gets too small.
Hopefully,
So we can, I'm thinking we can put this chair, maybe have this room. I did find a couple chairs, so if you guys don't mind sitting down. We can, if you want to hand this down,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Hey, John, I'm Mark. I live down the street up there. I've known Maya for a long time.
Nice to meet you.
I'm so glad you guys are coming in. That's
Yeah, so it's actually still in Maida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's, they are,
Okay, I'll find them. Yeah, okay.
but it's nice to meet you. We'll be here for sure, you know, visiting.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice to meet you.
But later tonight, I'm going to tour.
I'm gonna put this chair right behind you. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the song that she's
Oh, so voucher.
How's it going with you?
Don't hear. Get out. Then we would have moved everything in, and then all of a sudden, you know,
Is it, these are your chairs? Is it okay if we sit in them? Or that's okay?
I don't know if you want
So I wanted to try to free up a few more chairs for folks. So, I'm
Getting started today.
no, it is. I think it's perfect. Yeah, so I actually did start the recording like 5 minutes ago. So, yeah, I mean, I can stop this. You can just wait. This is a lot of the sitting. Maybe I'll stop it and then we'll start it again when things get real. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just let it keep running. Isn't it good? Yeah. It is. We're on YouTube.
hey, you kill the world out there.
He put his seat there, but I think it's okay. I mean, he's not in the frame about it. So, but I think we won't let anybody come close. I think it's good. So you go mingle and do your thing. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I have any questions. Okay. You'll be in frame, but it's okay. You know, you say hi, hi Maya, hi Mom.
Great. It's kind of dappling light.
Our auras are too much light. It's all good show.
Your skin turned into camouflage.
Paul. Yeah. Well, through the meditation channeling, and as you know, mine was when I first
It's called Mixed Nuts.
In both homes at the Ocean Street. And this was our center for quite a while. But the neighbors complained. They said it was kind of like having a tavern open on the street. Everyone would be so excited after the spiritual evening that it sounded like we'd been drinking. So they asked us to please move.
Krista. Yeah, you look like you're probably tired of hearing that. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Krista, this is Teresa. Teresa is a very key part of our center. She's the channel for our teacher. Victoria. And Teresa's husband, Jerry. Number 2.
Yeah.
Fun to see you.
Jerry, I'm going to sit here.
Fun to see you.
Yeah. So do you live in Santa Cruz or
No, I live in San Diego.
Get in here. You gotta get in here.
Oh, yeah. Come here.
You betcha.
Ah, good. Maya was just a very sweet. Towards the end, her eyes
So excited.
at peace. Maybe I have it wrong, but that's how I saw her. I don't know the entire story.
That's all right.
I believe me.
Just believe what you know.
What I want. Yep. My family is the same way.
It's illegal and it's not politically correct.
From the beginning. I remember.
Like fruit trees changed. Might be my years to bad years.
They took their hats off. Let me see, we'll see what we can do. This is the, we're going to be videoing it.
Right. They're done for. You can get live
Why
traps.
don't you come over and sit down over here?
No, I really, that's why I brought
So you're going to stand for an hour and a half?
I have a phone call that I'll have to take later.
School meaning high school or UCSC? Yeah.
There's not updates. There's no squirrels. And there's not crows, there's ravens. And
Yes,
there's vultures.
yes. That's the same group, yeah. We're the
There's
same.
ground squirrels out in the bluffs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But not in the same order. Because I think the ravens actually
Some of the first meetings. Some of them. So she was into something, out there, I'm sure. Yes, Mom, what do you have to do?
Flying underneath the
Oh, did she?
That's right.
Hi, everybody.
So,
Thank you. First, I want to thank Kathleen and Bob for playing this wonderful music for when we entered. Thank you. They'll play a little bit later after I speak, but they're so kind to play while we kind of wander in and settle ourselves down. So, thank you.
Sit there and see. I think that's fine.
I'm not a good spontaneous speaker, so I will read and refer.
No, happy.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. When I look at all your faces, all of you, wonderful friends who have come to celebrate my mom's life, I'm deeply, deeply warmed and heartened by your presence. You are, here, I'll just do this. Yeah. Did you hear those first incredible words?
speak up!
So I want you to know that you are really important threads in the tapestry of her long, layered, beautiful life. So thank you so much for that. What I treasure about gatherings like this is the opportunity to hear stories, reflections, and memories from others about Maya. She is more than any of us can collectively know, but we each hold our own special pieces of her and carry them with us. We hold them, own them, and protectively wrap them, and on occasion, we also share them. We value the pieces each of you can share, and together we can each add to the story we hold and allow it to expand, giving our own experiences more color, more depth, and more dimension, giving our own experiences, oh, I already said that, all right, and a deeper knowing of Maya. More color, more depth and dimension, and a deeper knowing of Maya. The parts we hold continue to live within us, rippling throughout our lives and beyond, into future generations as a form of legacy. Maya left a studio full of artwork she created over the years, and we sisters have packaged them in protective sleeves and would like to offer any of these pieces to you that speak to you, to have and take home with you, furthering a small, tangible legacy. It's really, truly difficult to edit what to say about my mom in the time that we have here. She is much more than the person I knew who birthed, raised, loved, nurtured, taught, and influenced me for all the years of my life. In fact, it's impossible. Ute Maya Sapper was born in 1931 and began her life in the northern jungle of Guatemala on a coffee plantation her father owned and managed. She was one of 4 children, she being the second born. German was spoken at home and Spanish everywhere else. Being that this area was inhabited and still is by indigenous Mayans, Maya's mother learned to speak the native tongue of Quechua. Maya and her siblings learned words and phrases to be able to communicate with them, but they were certainly not fluent. Her family was of German and Swiss descent, so growing up where she did, she had quite a mixture of cultural influences. When she was 11 years old, 1 year after the United States entered into World War II, her father was taken from their home under escort to Guatemala City to be paroled until transported by officials from the U.S. State Department to Texas and later to North Dakota, where he was involuntarily interned for 3 years. The plantation was taken away and the family was pushed off, so they relocated to Guatemala City with the help of friends there. Those were extremely difficult years. Ultimately, the Sapper family was reunited and their lives began anew. In the years that Maya went to high school, higher education was not available in Guatemala, so those who sought further schooling had to leave the country. So it was in the fall of the year that she finished high school that she moved to Montreal, Canada to pursue a nursing degree. She left her boyfriend, Life Ness, whose younger sister was her best friend. After graduation from McGill, when she was 22 years old, she married a man 13 years her senior, who she met while in nursing school. She and my father were married in a Tennessee courthouse while he was attending a medical conference. They soon moved to Denver, where he had a position at the University of Colorado Medical School as an assistant professor. She was able to speak basic English, but was completely new to the United States and the culture of this country. In less than a year, I was born. The demands of motherhood are challenging for anyone, and they certainly were for Maya. Her marriage was not a particularly supportive one, and she sometimes found herself in the role of having a partner who felt like another person to take care of. Pride, discipline, strength, curiosity, a constant interest in learning and exploring describe the woman who raised me along with my sisters, Krista, born 2 years later, Maita, 3 years after that, and Kylie, born 14 years after that, in the San Diego area when I was in college at the age of 19. I can remember times of her exasperation and tears with us, her marriage, and her situation. But mostly, I remember that she was always there, always ready to soothe, calm, help, and support. We grew up in a conservative and relatively strict household, one of steadfast convictions, responsibilities, and independence, and also very tuned into nature, art, and science. We lived in a rural area outside of Denver, had an outdoor active life with horses, and summers in the mountains where my parents owned beautiful acreage with a small A-frame house and a guest cabin. Those were very happy years for me and my sister. We were almost feral in our outside adventuring. Maya provided the freedom, comfort, and the leash that created a good balance. She also generously welcomed our childhood friends into the fold of our lives. Trips to Guatemala with Mom to visit her family were regular. Our connection to her family and her homeland felt strong, and for me, a sense of familiarity that felt like home in a childlike way. We moved in 1966 from Colorado to San Diego to follow my father. In the first years, Mom helped him in his fledgling private medical office as his nurse and receptionist. She remained very present and committed to family, involved and active with us. We lived rurally there too and had horses, so she continued to be engaged in all our activities around our horses. She was an incredible gardener. She loved to swim. She loved to take photos and even built a darkroom in the house to develop black and white prints. We had several exchange students join our household over the years. And I reflect on how she accommodated my very insecure teenage years with remarkable generosity and grace. In 1982, adventurous and independent Maya, now with her 3 older daughters fledged, Kylie, still in elementary school, fell in love with a very special piece of land in Santa Cruz near her beloved redwoods, purchased that land, and began a new chapter in her life. Maya was quite spiritual, an open and curious seeker of ideas here on earth and beyond the earthly plane. For many years, she hosted spiritual gatherings, both on the farm and here on Rathburn Way. She wrote about her spirituality and even created personal books along with paintings she made for them. She welcomed organic farming to her land and grew a community around that endeavor. Maya always had a strong sense of style and design. I felt and experienced her gracefulness growing up and all of my life. In house and interior design, her clothing, her garden, photography, her writing, painting, drawing, sculpting, knitting, and crocheting. Everything she touched became artful and beautiful. Her love of music included hosting performances in this house and offering musicians temporary accommodations as guests. Maya was both generous and frugal, especially with herself. She was opinionated, strong-willed, one who pushed against the rules, and an introvert. She supported the arts in so many ways, in donations, purchases, hosting fundraisers, going to performances, sharing in the delights that the arts give. She gave generously to the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History, Cabrillo College, Tandy Beal and Company, the Redwood League, the Semper Virens Fund, and Wings of Guatemala, a reproductive services nonprofit in Guatemala. Maya traveled the world on walking tours with her brother on wonderful trips, and then Maya traveled the world on walking trips with her brother and on wonderful trips with her group of painting friends. She especially loved her garden and driving her VW camper van everywhere with her 2 dogs, Puma and Foxy. She had her own kayak and often went kayaking in Elkhorn Slough with friends. She was truly a young and free spirit. On her 70th birthday in 2001, Life Ness, her high school boyfriend from over more than half a century earlier, reconnected with her, and their love and real romance was born. It was the first time she felt true romantic love. They traveled together, and they also reconnected with their roots in Guatemala. Regrettably, their relationship was cut very short because soon they learned he had lung cancer. Maya was by his side and his strongest support. Their love and relationship was life-changing for her and a gift she took with her until the day she said goodbye and her spirit took flight. I guess if I had to choose 3 words that would define her core values, they would be freedom, self-determination, and choice. She lived by these principles until the end of her days. Her life was an example of all these things and so much more. You will add your stories and add to this short story. And I look forward to hearing all of them. Before I turn this over to you, I just want to share what I will always hold with special fondness about my mom and carry with me. At times she was my best friend, and sometimes she was even like a sister. We shared going to art museums, galleries, artist studios, and unique, out-of-the-way places where we would find beautiful treasures. We'd go to movies, lectures, and performances together. She had such fun, interesting, artsy friends who I loved hanging out with when I visited. We walked the redwoods near her farm. She protected those redwoods with a ferocity. And we walked the redwoods where she, through Semper Virens Fund, chose 2 special trees, one for life and one for herself to come back to. She has been a huge influence on me, and as it turns out, this is now what defines who I am: an artist, advocate of the arts, a lover of the outdoors, a gardener, and an activist for the natural world. In closing, I would like to read a poem that Maita chose for this occasion. And she wrote on top of this poem,
Your mom
this
chose.
is,
Your mom chose.
what did I say? Sorry, Maya, I meant to say Maya. Maya, thank you for that clarification. And on top of the poem, it says, "This is how I feel. You can read it if you have a memorial for me. Love, Mom." Contemplation on No Coming, No Going by Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, Zen Buddhist, Vietnamese, peace advocate. This body is not me. I am not limited by this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with stars, manifestations from my wondrous true mind. Since before time, I have been free. Birth and death are only doors through which we pass, sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are a game of hide and seek. So laugh with me, hold my hand. Let us say goodbye. Say goodbye to meet again soon. We meet today, we will meet tomorrow. We will meet at the source every moment. We will meet each other in all forms of life. So, I would like to introduce Kathleen Purcell and Bob Bassa, who will play music. music for you. The next bit. Thank you so much.
Want to set up these pieces that we think are appropriate and we want to share with you. Like all of you, I'm sure it's hard to know where to begin to describe the amazing gift that Maya was to the world and us in particular. The word profound keeps coming to mind, and she was in numerous ways profound. She was profoundly intelligent, profoundly courageous. She was a warrior for truth and justice. She was profoundly giving and generous. All felt that. She was profoundly spiritual, without dogma or ideology. She was present. She was always in her heart. So Bob and I would like to play a couple of pieces that Maya loved and that we feel represent her incredible spiritual depth and beauty. The first one is by Chico Buarque, and it's called Todo Sentimento, which means all feeling, all love. And the second that we'll play is Manhã de Carnaval, which is from the Brazilian film Black Orpheus. The melody is a symbol of eternal love that transcends death. Spiritually, this reflects the Orphic idea that love and beauty are immortal energies, surviving the decay of the material world. The song is haunting, yet hopeful, and it conveys that the essence of love is eternal, even when the form perishes. She's with us still.
you, that was beautiful. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Kathleen, can we borrow that music stand again?
Indeed, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I've invited 4 speakers to come prepared ahead of time, and so they'll give prepared words ahead of time, and then after that, any of you are more encouraged to come and tell your stories. And we have a microphone here so I can walk around and bring it to you so nobody has to squiggle out of chairs, and we'll get you taken care of. But we'd love to hear from any and all who want to say something. The first speaker I've chosen is Sojourner Lee, who was my 5th and 6th best friend in 6th and 5th grade. 5th and 6th grade, she was my best friend. And she lived next door. We lived out in rural country with our horses and stuff, and so it wasn't like she was just right next door, but she was the closest one. And so we've known each other for that long, and she's known Mom the whole time. So, Sojourner Lee, Sojourner, please come and share. Thank you. Thank you.
Come up here for a minute. Come up here for a minute. This is the way we were. She was like this. She's so cute. Tall and skinny and weird. Hand legs always up to there. But there we were. And how can anybody be really prepared to say something about a lifetime? Whew. But this was a woman that brought great change into the world. And when I had the good fortune to move into that house out on the prairie, and there on the same lane, the only other house was this beautiful house with 3 girls and 3 horses. And my dreams had come true. I used a neighbor's horse, and then I got one of my own, Pepper. We had Pepper and Buddy and and Skinny. She was 5-year-old on this big old thoroughbred. And Peppy, wasn't there Peppy? But anyway, it was something else to be in that space and to share a whole different life, to move from my home, which was fine, but into a home of a lot more culture, intellect, and depth in a consciousness of spirituality. So that was like a new beginning, a new outlook, something that sent me on my whole life, probably the rest of the way. This seems a little high, but I think it goes like this, right? Yeah, maybe that'll be nice for me. So, I think we all have so much in common, don't we? We have these bodies. There might be some disembodied here, I don't know, but we have souls. And they are really one. And Maya helped me to come to that point of view, or that belief, over a long period of time. And we all had a love, or our lives were touched by Maya in so many ways, so many ways. And over time, I learned, some of you, I got to feel the impact, but I got to be with these girls. And it was glorious because, yes, she led us, and I don't know where my mom was, but we went everywhere. We had 5,000 acres of floodplain, prairie, woods, and creeks. And we rode those nags out there, and we ran, and we built forts, and we were gone all day. And if we weren't, we were in there splitting a can of soup that sometimes over at their house they'd have a can of soup. And Dr. Elric was big on not eating much. So I know that we can all just kind of get that. And interesting, I thought of a quote and I looked it up and it was, I'll just paraphrase it, but it was by Maya Angelou. It's not what people, they come into our lives, it's not what they did, it's not what they said, but it's how we felt. What did we leave? What was the feeling that we left with? I was a lonely child, really, and a little trauma, and big trauma in the past. So I came into a household just totally like, I was dropped. We were free as birds, and I was in the nest now with the Elric family. And Maya as the head, I don't remember Harold that much, except he wanted to give me a growth hormone so I wouldn't be so tall. And he was always going on with calipers. I'm glad he's not here today. So with Maya, I called her Maya Mom because really I found that surrogate mothers in my life have really, and my own dear mother, but I had these women that were so impactful. They seemed to see me. They seem to know me. Don't we need to be seen and known in this life? And how rare is that when we find somebody that we can be seen, we can know. And even after all these years, you up in Alaska, I mean, we see each other, we know each other. And I know many of you have felt that way about Maya. She seemed to respect me and she encouraged me. And I saw her strength in so many ways. She brought a conscious awareness. And I wrote some notes, look at their scribbles, but she also taught us to knit. And we knit little socks in the pantry where we locked ourselves in when she went grocery shopping. We sent Maitha down the garbage chute to go down, get the garage, come back up and let us out. This is what Maya had to deal with. Was it really a garbage chute or was it laundry? I hope it wasn't. It was garbage.
Oh, was it laundry?
Oh, I hope so. I hope it was laundry. But these are the it could have been either one for all I know. But she would come home. Oh, what are you all doing? What do you think you're doing? I was sitting her down there. She goes, you heard it? What do you do? But then all was forgiven, and on we went with whatever we were doing. And we did a lot. And so one of the things is that she was a real mama bear. I saw that. And she could be really unyielding about things that were important to her. You know, she would. And there was an incident with a bullwhip once that she only told me about. But she kept that child home, that teenager, she kept her home. Because by God, she knew that it wasn't good, that she was going out. That is a mama bear that stands up and says, no, I'm not going there. You're not going there. We're staying right here. And then the loving embrace. She told me so many stories. They moved away. It was the saddest day of my life almost to this point, the saddest day. Because suddenly I'm out there on the prairie. You know, where are those girls? Where are my friends? Where's Maya? But they settled in California and I got to hear all the amazing stories of how different it was. How bitchin', remember that? Yeah. She came here and somebody said, it's so bitchin', isn't it? And she said, oh, I know it's terrible. And she goes, what do you mean? Bitchin' is great. So I got to hear stories. We got to share time in the cemetery. We got to be there together. But over time, you know, I got to be around 16 and I was still there because you hadn't gone off to college yet. And she turned me on to Findhorn, the Findhorn. What a difference that's made in my life. I mean, I'm now an organic farmer. I'm a nonprofit with a nonprofit. Our last big thing was showing how we could use dry toilets. Amazing, you know, the things that we'll do in our lives, you know, where will we end up? We don't even know. But she supported that. She not only did some financial support, but she came to visit and she encouraged me. She told me the stories about her life on the farm. And then the struggles with the county, the struggles with people. They're all the same. We all share these stories. And she did it with a a learning and a consciousness, always raising her consciousness to a higher level. But you know, one of the things, stories, is she could be so swayed by our begging. Elitch's garden in Denver was such a fun place for us. You finally got tall enough to be taller than the clown, and we could go on the Wildcat roller coaster. And Maya, it's raining, you girls, it's raining. Now we can't go out now. Oh, Maya, please, oh, Mom, please, please. So we got in that old truck. My God, it didn't have a good truck. She had this old truck and took 4 of us girls, 4 of us, because I was there, and drove us through the pouring rain with us moving the windshield wipers like that and having to stop and try to see. And that was how she was. She could be giving and yielding and unyielding. Louder? So I went away for a while. She went away for a while. I lost track of her. I never got to see her farm. But what she did was live here. And my daughter moved here with her husband and the child. So I met my son-in-law before they were married. The first time I met him was at that door when they had met. Years later, they got married. And so then our talks continued. We had so many good talks. We just would sit on that couch and I would hear the story of lifeness. Oh, what a story of romance and of pain and loss and love. And so these were the things that were so important. And I heard her politics. And I didn't always know about what she was talking about, but she didn't like that debt building up for the generations to come. She was strong about that. And then, well, first, when they moved from Colorado, that was sad. But here's one of the things. I keep things. So I keep her books that she gave me on Fendhorn, and this she gave me. I went to their garage sale, and I got as much as I could. And this was something that I think speaks to how she was for me. It says, ideals are like stars. You will not succeed in touching them with your hands, but like the seafaring men on deserts of water, you will use them as your guide in reaching your destiny. In that way, you will see them, and those were her things. She was full of ideals, and she knew to use them as her guide and to go there with them. So that is some of the ways that Maya touched. She was, her dogs, her politics, her spiritual belief, all of these things were so impactful to me. Her life was in service. Mine is in service now. I was a nurse. I'm a gardener. All of these things that Maya brought into her life, I'm now going, wow, there was a lot of similarities. So I got to be here. My job as a nurse turned from nursing. I developed a program called Touch, Love, and Compassion. I would do energy work, massage, aromatherapy, healing touch, healing plans with people in the hospital as a nurse, as an inpatient nurse. And when I come here sometime, she would go and lie down in her bed. And I'd go, can I give you a little TLC before you go to sleep? And she would say, oh, yes. So she would get me. And I'd give her that and touch her. And she goes, oh, the skin, it can hunger. So I'm glad I could be of service. And I know how many of you were of service in her life. And I'm going to miss her. I'm going to miss sending out those messages. And she gave me a lot. So and I'm going to say one more thing. And in her death, she had that same sense of bravery and determination and choice. Thank you.
Well, I picked Tandy for the next speaker, and it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Let's see if I can arrange this for my tall body here. A little bit more. Thank you for opening Maya's beautiful home, for all of us to be here to celebrate her life and our shared legacy of memories that we all cherish in our own hearts. And thank you to the birds, which you didn't see happen maybe. They were crazy as soon as you started talking. Just wonderful that we got an announcement from beyond. I first met Maya through a mutual friend, Roberta Bristol. And you know, when you're starting to meet someone, you find the steps of how do you engage with them. And right away, we found out we had the same birthday. So as silly as that is, it is a charge, and you go, oh, we are aligned. And then you move forward, and she talked about her complex family heritage, and we had a little traction. I have a German grandfather, and my mother grew up in South America. And you know, you start to build where things are. I don't have children, but I've had companies, and so I feel like I have maybe 200 children. But she spoke about her daughters with such pride and so much understanding of your uniqueness, your strength. She was quite always very clear about your independence and your differences and how beautiful you all are. And it's great to meet some of you that I haven't today. Thank you, thank you. We talked about her love of nature, that I live up in the redwoods, and we talked about that. And then we discovered our shared passion for art. And it was about listening art, viewing art, experiencing art, and how do you make art for children work? And we had lots of discussions about this, and she had such a precise mind and a way of inquiring that was always engaged. And she was hopeful, and that made me extremely hopeful as well. So I took her once to the Mellow where 750 kids could come. And she was curious as to how could we engage that many kids at once and how to open the imagination. I was in a position in which I could see the audience better than I could the artist. And I saw Maya sitting there, totally engaged with the children and wondering what their reactions were. And that just touched my heart, that she was really curious about what reads to people. How do they get engaged and why? I would often call her and say, oh, do you want to go to such and such a concert? And she always had herself arranged already. She was so independent, fiercely independent, and so organized. The first time that she invited me to lunch here, I opened up that gate and I went, wow, what an organized, beautiful garden this is. I was just blown away by it. And you know, she rushed into the house and I followed her, but I followed slowly because I was going, oh, look at this great painting over here. Oh, I love that sculpture. It's so tactile, it's so elegant. Oh, how did they make this fabric art over here? Oh, that sketch, isn't that beautiful? Maya, I need to know who these artists all are. Big pause. And with no arrogance, well, I made them all. I went, what? I was flabbergasted because there were so many different styles. And I asked her about that. I said, how did you get involved in so many different styles of art making? She said, I'm curious. I love these aspects of hers that came through. I had known her as, I knew her career was as a nurse, a midwife, an educator, a mother, a supporter of the arts. but I hadn't known that she was such a profound art spirit. And this was really deep and inspiring to me. I was deeply moved by her commitment to art, her creating of her own art, her supporting of others' art, ours included, her hosting of artists. I just yesterday talked to somebody who she hosted here for about a month while they were doing work with us. And the woman just said, "Oh, give my love to Maya." I said, "Yeah, I will." So I give her love to all of you because she felt so nourished by living here with Maya for that time. I'm moved also by her commitment to the arts, her belief in the arts, her elegance, her dignity, her delightful sense of beauty. What I also love is that her artfulness is in her garden. It's in how she arranged her home, how she dressed, and even if you were lucky for her to shape a plate of food for you, it was artfully placed. As I was thinking about this for today, I will transpose a Navajo saying that I think is very much about Maya. I walk with beauty beneath me, with beauty by my sides, beauty behind me, beauty in front of me, beauty above me. I walk with beauty all around me. That feels like Maya to me in my small understanding of her gifts that we have all shared. So thank you, family. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, all of the people who have supported her and whom she has supported in her own ways. And I know we have this legacy of shared memories together. And she's left us the legacy of her art. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Well, Maya has a neighbor right nearby that is now family. And Dolores is, she's one of the sisters now. So I invited Dolores to come and say a few words about whatever she wants to say. Thank you. Thank you.
I think every single one of the speakers has really touched on just about every quality of Maya's that I was going to talk about. I'm so glad to be considered part of the family now. We're supporting this family here, coming and going, and I'm happy to be doing that. For me, there are remembrances over the period of time that we've had Maya here. And I'm just going to be brief because they've all been touched on by all of you who spoke. Maya's relationship with nature was part of her identity. She felt when she stepped out into nature, she told me she met something larger than herself. And she loved her walks, and everyone knows she loved her painting, her gardening, her meditation group, her discussion of philosophy. We would sit for hours on the couch and talk about it after we meditated. And she liked putting on the 4th of July party here. And she loved her dogs and my dog. And we enjoyed our dinners together, where she met our friends, and we met her family. And my husband and I are really grateful to have had that experience. she told us stories of Guatemala and her childhood, and all of that has kind of been mentioned here, and we're very grateful for her. I have just one last thing. I mean, there's a memory that my husband and I have together where at her 70th birthday, we saw her walking down the street holding hands with this man, and I went, oh my God, you know, what's going on here? And I said, Hart, come here, look at this. And so they walked down the street hand in hand. They came back, and then later she told us the story, you know, because I knew about this love of her life, but I never expected to see, you know, he showed up here with flowers on her 70th birthday. I have just, I'd like to just conclude with one thing. The stars, the light, everyone is mentioning the same kind of theme. But there was a poem that I found the other day that talked about something that Maya told me about, that her mother and her father, when they were separated, would look at one particular star in the sky at the same point in time. So this poem is from Hannah Senish, and it says, there are stars above so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people we have loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our lives. These are the ways we remember. So we'll all remember Maya in our own way.
And then there's Dave. Dave, who has called, visited Mom for years, every day. He checked in on her twice a day by phone. He'd stop by. They'd take drives together, have lunch together. He was definitely, you know, we communicated about Mom and just keeping track of all that. And they've known each other for, gosh, I think nearly 40 years. Yeah. So Dave covers a lot of ground in her life. And so, Dave, I'd love to invite you up here, unless you want to sit there and have this.
Set up, right? I got music. I got like 6 stories to tell. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening, I'm watching the clock. I'm saying, well, so I'm sitting there and I'm editing down. I got maybe 4 stories, maybe. I finally got it down to 2 stories and a little music. Hi, Don. So Maya and I were really close for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. I was over here so many times. And we did so much stuff together. I'd get her out of the house, and we traveled to Capitola. We traveled to Watsonville a couple times. We found Jesus in Watsonville, actually. I'll have to tell you that story someday. So, first story I'll tell you is the Good Shepherd and the Not So Good Shepherd story. This happened probably maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Maya was walking over here on Soquel on the sidewalk, And you know how sidewalks are, they're kind of uneven at sometimes, right? So she hit this bump in the thing and she fell right on the concrete, right? And she's laying there. So the not so good shepherd was about 30 feet away. And he looked at her, and then he walked over to her, and then he looked at her, and then he walked on. How rude is that, right? So another guy came by, the good shepherd, in a car, and he saw her on the sidewalk, and he pulled over right away, and he got out and he ran back, and he picked her whole body up and put her on the bus stop bench. And he said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "I'll be right back. I'll get my car." So he backed his car up, and then he picked her off the bench and put her in the car and drove her right here and then walked her up to the door. The good shepherd, right? And there's a thing about forgiveness, right? We know about forgiveness, right? You forgive fast and you forgive often, right? That's the rule. But Maya never forgave that person for walking away. Till the day she died, she never forgave that guy. So I could tell you a funny story, or I could tell you a convict story.
Tell them both.
All right, I'll tell you both. So at the church we go to, we used to be about 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 people, depending on the Sunday. But every fifth Sunday was off for some reason. We took the fifth Sunday off, so that meant 5 times or 4 times a year that we wouldn't have to go to church. So on one of our trips, Maya and I were driving around on the west side, and we're over at this, going down Fair and Delaware. And we saw this kind of dilapidated sign that said West Side Chapel. So I said to her, "Well, when do we go to West Side Chapel on the 5th Sunday? I mean," and she said, she always said these words. She said, "That'll be fine." She said that a lot. "That'll be fine." I said, "Okay, that's what we'll do." So the 5th Sunday came around. We went over there, right? So we walked in there. Regular, I think it was like 10:30. Fold-out chairs, middle aisle, about 70 chairs, right? And then we sat down. There were Bible studies or Bibles on every chair. So I said to myself, "Well, is this a Bible church, or what are we in for here?" I wasn't sure of the energy, and then I tried to figure out the energy, right away in the crowd. Tried to figure what is this? I said it's a little erratic, it's a little edgy, and I finally settled on the word unsettled. It's unsettled. This energy, whatever it is here, is unsettled. So we sat down and we got our Bible. I knew she couldn't read because she had bad eyes, bad ears. That's a whole nother story. We get into Lexi. Remember Lexi, right? Of course, we get into Lexi and a hearing aid situation. We'll leave that alone. So we sat there, and slowly people started coming in. Then I noticed that most of the people there were guys, maybe 23 to 30 years old. And there were a couple of families with kids, but mostly all guys. Well, then 3 people came out, and they were going to do the songs. So they sat down. One guy was on the drums, kind of heavy on the drum, clang, clang, clang. One guy on the guitar, boom, boom, boom. And one guy singing, right? So they sang Jesus. So I said, "Well, it's a Jesus place." Okay, I figured I got that far. It's a Bible thing or a Jesus thing. Okay. So then they had the announcements. Then the minister came out. He came walking out, and he stands at this podium right in the middle aisle. And he's just dressed in normal clothes. And he gives announcements, right? The church is this, or they're having this party, or this, or whatever. And then he says, "Okay," and then he said, "Open to the book." So I opened the Bible, and we go to this page, and he reads it, right? And then he stops, and then he explains the meaning, behind the meaning, behind the meaning. Then he keeps reading, and then he stops, and then he explains what it means, who's related to who in this, what time of the thing is it. So it's really interesting stuff, actually. So then the music comes back on. 2 or 3 songs, and then that's it. That's it. And I'm saying to myself, well, it's the first thing I learned, right? They didn't pass the plate. Every church I've ever been to passes the plate, right? This church just ended, and that was it. So then people standing up and they start socializing. So, Maya and I started socializing. We found a place to put our donations on the wall, a little box on the wall. So that's what we did. So then we were approached by the minister. The minister is a first class A++ guy named Josh, right? He has a master's degree in Bible study. Really a swell guy. I got to know him after a while. So he tells us that this is a church for ex-cons. That's where I got the edgy, and that's where I got the unsettled from. He says, we have ex-cons living here. They live in the back in kind of a dormitory style. And I teach Bible several hours a week. And they're in transition. They got to kind of get their act together, find out who's where, education, a job, or something before they move on. So that led to that unsettled feeling. So that's the ex-con story. So now I'll tell you the pink door story. So one day we're sitting in the living room here, we're talking, and Maya starts shaking. So I'm saying, something new, right? We had the eyes going on, we had the ears going on, right? We had a little dermatology thing going on, right? So now she's shaking, and I'm saying, what's going on? So she stands up, and she's going like this. She's shaking. I'm saying, well, what? She said, I can't stop shaking. It woke me up last night. I was up all night shaking. So I said, oh, no, we got something else going on. So immediately, I think pretty soon after that, I texted you, Maita, to let you know that we have a new situation. And I texted Dolores here to let her know. So we got a hold of Maya's primary care doctor, and he recommended this other doctor, neurologist named Patel, right? Now you've heard this story. It's such a great story, though, right? So she goes to Dr. Patel, and a week later, the doctor gives her this pill. It's a 0.5 milligram pill, right? Antidepressant. That should take care of it. Okay. A couple of days later, everything kind of calmed down. It did take care of it, right? So that was cool. So then all she had to do was take it. And she didn't really like Patel at all. She told me she didn't like him. You know, when she doesn't like something, that's it. You don't have to argue with it. She just don't like her. You don't like the doctor. So she fought. So a little bit she fought taking the pill. So she said, I don't feel like taking that pill. So then she wouldn't take it for a couple. Then she started shaking for a couple days. And so we had to get her onto a regular thing every night. Take that pill. Don't forget, right? Don't forget. So when I'd call her at night, I said, don't forget to take that pill. Okay. So maybe a year later, she starts shaking. She's still taking a pill, but it's shaking. You know how these pills are. They work for a while. You got to tinker with them, right? You can't So she started shaking, and she couldn't stop. So right away, I had to get a hold of Dr. Patel. So she tells me that I can't see you tomorrow. Don't come over because I got a doctor's appointment with Dr. Patel. I said, what time is the appointment? She says, 11 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll come over at 10:30 and take you. She said, no. I said, yes. She said, okay. So I come over at 10:30, pick her up. I said, you know where it is? She says, yes, I know where it is. So where is it? She says, right over on Soquel. I said, okay. We get on Soquel. So there's a hospital, and her main doctor is in a 4-story building. on just the other side of the hospital, this 4-story building. So we passed that. I said, you sure it's not that 4-story building? She said, no, it's right down here on the left. So we go down here a couple blocks. And she said, no, right here, turn left, turn in this parking lot. Okay, turn left in the parking lot. It's the same parking lot where that dermatologist is, by the way. This is the same place. So we're early by about 15 minutes. So I back into a nice place under the redwood trees. And we sit there for 5 minutes. I said, you sure that's the place over there? And she said, yeah, I said, you sure that's the place? It's got a pink door. That's the pink door one? And she said, that's it, that's the one. I said, well, okay. So I said, okay, let's go. So out of the car we go, across the parking lot and down the sidewalk, and there's the pink door. We go through the pink door. There's 2 ladies standing in a line, and right away I realized that this is not the place, right? So I stepped right up to the front and I said, excuse me. I said, I have this 93-year-old lady. She has an appointment with Dr. Patel. Is Dr. Patel here? And she says, there's no Dr. Patel here. This is a cancer screening center. So, okay, see ya. So I grabbed her hand, out the pink door we went, up this thing, across the parking lot and into the car. I said, now what the hell we do? So I should have just gone on my phone, right? And asked Siri where Dr. Patel is or something. But anyway, I was a little bit shook too. So I started the car and across the parking lot, and right in the middle of the parking lot, I spot this doctor. He's got this white smock on, so I figured he's a doctor, and he's talking to this guy outside this door. So I said, well, go ask him. So I just stopped right in the middle of the parking lot, and I said, you wait here. So I stopped the car, I get out, and the other man left, and the doctor walks into the waiting room there, and I yell at him. I said, hey, Doc, come here. I said, I got this 93-year-old lady, and she's got an appointment with this Dr. Patel. I said, do you know Dr. Patel? And he was a really good doc. He says, let me think. He goes, yeah, Dr. Patel. I said, it's on SoCal. Down SoCal to Main Street, across Main Street, two parking lots, and turn left. So I said, I get in the car. I tell Maya, I said, that's great. I said, we only miss it by 2 miles. I said, not bad. We're close. So I jump on SoCal, and we go down to SoCal, and I hit Main Street, and I go across a couple of parking lots, and I make a left turn into a parking lot there, and there's a single story, all these offices, right? And they're all dentist offices. I said, what the heck, this is all dentist offices. This can't be the place. So anyway, I said, you stay here, I'll be right back. So I get out of the car and I walk in this dentist office. I said, listen, I got a situation going here. I'm looking for a Dr. Patel. Do you know a Dr. Patel? And the lady says, yeah, it's right in the next parking lot. I said, oh, that's great, that's so great. So out of the parking lot we go, I make a right, I go make another right into that parking lot, and there's Dr. Patel's office at the end of the thing there. So we go in, and we're 2 minutes late. Big deal, right? You're always late. The doctor's always late anyway, so we sit there, and we wait. About 12 minutes later, the guy comes out, and he ushers us into Dr. Patel's office. So I go in there with her, and we sit down. And then 5 minutes later, Dr. Patel walks in, and she doesn't even look at Maya, right? She walks right across the office and to her computer, right? And Dr. Patel, as we know, we're talking about, is probably a great doctor, but she's a head doctor. She doesn't feel like she's connected at the heart. She's a head doctor. So she walks right over the computer. Tick, 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 tick. She says, okay, we'll up your prescription from 0.05 to 1.05. I said, okay. So that was about it. I mean, it's a real short visit, right? So from there, we went over to Horst Snyder's and got the prescription, and that worked. That prescription worked. As long as she took it every day, that prescription worked, right? So. So I got one other thing. I'll just anoint them. I got my little sound thing here. And I wanted to just play this thing for you. Huh? What? No, I don't have to play it at all. It's fine. I can let that go. It's fine. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's why I had to cut it down from 6 stories to 2. That's why I had to cut it down. I had to do my own editing. I can edit that out too. So we had the meditation group, and at the end of the meditation group was we had this little prayer, and Dennis wrote it out for me. It's a like 30-second prayer. I gotta look at my phone here. May all that I say, may all that I see, may all that I say, may all that I do be in harmony with Thee. God within me, God beyond me, maker of the trees. And so it is. Aho.
Now it's anybody's turn to share a story, and we're love to hear them. Thank you. We have a moving microphone. It looks like Phil will bring it to you. And
Unless you want to come up. So.
I think it might be easier. I mean, people that are in the back. Whatever.
Not a whole lot of hands.
Hi, I probably represent people who maybe knew Maya from a distance. That's me. I was a part of the church, and I saw her come in on a Sunday, always with Dave, and they would sit, and I looked at her, and I thought, oh, she seems interesting. But she wouldn't really look at me, and I would say hi, and I'm like, how come this? She never really would say hi, and then one time I realized, oh, she can't see very well, and she can't hear very well. So I only knew her through that. And then one day, I came to the house for some party, and everybody had left, and I was sitting, and I had never really spoken to her. And she came, and she sat right beside me. Her eyes just kind of closed, and she rested, and she kind of leaned on my shoulder, and I could feel this. That's it. I think I probably know her just as well as anyone. Just from that little, I felt her. So for those of you who want to say something, that's great. And for those of you who don't, I think that says a lot right there. So yes to her. Yeah.
I'm Susan, and Andrew's my boyfriend, my co-partner. And it was Thanksgiving Day that happened, and that was after everybody left. And I always help Maya clean up after service on Sundays at her house when we had up there. And it was so, and of course Maya wanted to do everything. Everybody knows that, right? And I go, no, Maya, go sit. I go sit with Andrew. Yeah, and just to see her and to be the mother that she truly is, and to have her sleep on his shoulders, it was just, and this was just like 2 years prior, I think, the last Thanksgiving we had at her house before she passed. It was just a beautiful sight to see. But what I want to also say is that Maya and I and a few of us, we all go to the same church, and it's not the church that Dave talked about. Very, very spiritual, and I would speak. I always spoke on the first Sunday of every month. That was my time to speak. And Maya would always be there listening, and it was always something new for her to hear, which was amazing because, you know, I always thought she knew everything, but she was always constantly learning and listening and changing. And throughout the time that I knew Maya, we did actually have similar timelines together. I was just, I don't know, 40 years behind her, I forget, I don't know. We had the same kind of love story, and we connected on such a deep level. And I want to bring to light some of her stories that she wrote. I see water right here. That was one of hers that she wrote for her kids, grandkids. But my favorite is the evolution. And she channels, I don't know if you guys know, but she channels Eve, if anybody knew that. And so with that, it's a beautiful story, and she did it just like this. Oh, sorry, no, I'm not going to open it up. She did it, she has a couple books like this, and she has, of course, she painted all the pictures, and it's just beautiful. And as we spoke, I actually write poetry, and I don't know if any of you daughters know that, but for me, with Maya, not only was she a spiritual grandmother, spiritual mother, spiritual sister, spiritual friend, and she was also a spiritual daughter. And that's what's so interesting about our relationship that we had together, was that it was boundless. And she channeled Eve, and I channeled what I call God. And so we would have these in-depth conversations. And with my poetry, I was supposed to put out a book, and I have all the poems, but I never did finish editing it. And she graciously, she said I could use her pictures for the stories of my poetry. And I did want to get it finished before she passed. And the reason why I'm saying it now is because now I have to do it. So it's all these witnesses. And she's ever present. And part of it is I think I was a vehicle for her. Okay. A lot of pain. But then, she's amazing, and she shows herself, as she showed herself, as you know today, with the birds flying. And I don't know if any of you witnessed a persimmon fell from the tree. That's Maya too. It's like, how can one fall from the tree now? Today, right now. You witnessed it. So like I say, we all witness miracles. And we all witness the miracle of Maya. And we're all so blessed and lucky to have had her in our lives. And she is eternally with us, and we are eternally with her. So thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
Hello. My name's John. I met Maya for the first time in 1978, at a dinner at her house in San Diego. And at that time, I just based on my meeting her that first time just for dinner, I realized that she was really wonderful, super special kind of person, of which there are very few that you come in contact with, at least in my life, right? The reason that I was there was because I'm a year ahead of Maita in school, right? And we were both at UCSC, and we had geology classes together. And maybe math class or something too. So we were friends, we studied together and stuff, and after hearing these stories, I was, I'm not surprised at what I experienced when at that dinner, but I didn't know any of that. I mean, Maya didn't tell me anything about how great her mom was or anything. She was, I thought, I just thought Maya was just a young person that was, athletic and liked to do fun stuff. We'd run together and run in the woods and on Ocean Street Extension, and had similar interests and stuff. And so, but I was a financial aid student, and I won't go into that anymore, but any more detail. But my whole life upbringing was completely different. It wasn't anything like that. There was not really I wasn't lucky enough to have that level of a spiritual and just awareness in the house. And my folks did the best they could, but this is an extraordinary situation here. But I didn't know any of that, right? And I had gone on after my second year of school, I was at my mom's house in Hawthorne, and I get a call from Maya, and she says, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing?" And she says, "Hey, my sister's getting married in Vail, and I want to go, and I want to hitchhike there, and I want you to take me." And I thought, you got to be kidding me. I mean, there's no way that, first of all, there's no way that you should think that, because I didn't think that she was that, I didn't think that would be a thought that would come into her mind at all. And then I thought, you're a special person, right? There's no way your folks are going to go for this, right? It's not a real thing. And so I said, all right, yeah, sure. I'm not doing anything for the next week. And so a couple days later, we talked about logistics and everything. And a couple days later, I borrowed my mom's car and drove to San Diego. And the whole time I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be interesting, right? There's going to be yelling. There's going to be somebody's going to storm out of the room. There's going to be a lot of drama. It's going to end badly, and I'm going to come back here by myself, right? And that's the way it would have worked in normal households, right? And so I follow the directions, get there. It's up a winding drive, and I see there's horses there, and there's this beautiful kind of Spanish hacienda type house, and I just thought, wow, this is really something, this is really great. And so I came and I met Maya and Hal, and it was, I remember it, there's a lot of visceral things I remember about that meeting, but one of them was that house had in the kitchen, it had a window that you could open that allowed you to pass food out onto the veranda or whatever it is. And we ate out there on the veranda, had I'm not sure what it's called, but I don't remember what we ate, but we ate and we talked, and I wasn't there for very long, and I thought, all right, now the fireworks will start, and then I'll be leaving by myself, but I was surprised when there was no yelling, there was no second guessing, there was no nothing. It was like they had talked about it before, and everything was, unbelievably, everything was fine, and so we, I said, I wanted to say, are you sure? You sure you want to think about this more? And so I said goodbye, and we walked away and drove back to my mom's house, and then we went on this really adventurous, wonderful, making memories kind of a trip to Vail, Colorado. And I remember thinking, though, that is, there's no way that a normal person would allow their, somebody that they just invested 18 years in, to let this happen, right? And they didn't know me, they didn't need to trust me, and just the level of trust that she had in her daughter was like, I had never experienced anything like that. So when, that impressed me, right? I I wasn't that impressionable, but that got through, you know. And so when I started having kids a few years later, I named my second daughter Maya after Maya. And so that's a, you know, I regret that I didn't insinuate myself into her life more here, because I live here and I know she lives here, but you know, we're different. I'm not a very spiritual person, but I live more on the physical plane. But and you know, after meeting her, I am envious of all you kids. I was envious right from the very beginning of that you guys must have had an experience that was really something different.
If nobody else wants to talk, we have food. We can go through the house, and we've got lovely local food made by a person that.
Can I say one more thing I forgot?
Okay.
There's only one before. Sorry, it was about Maya and her art. The one thing I was going to say was about Maya's art that she does. When I first met her, I came in the house, and I'm looking, of course, at all the art that you'll be seeing if you haven't gone in there. And I really like this one sculpture. And I go, God, Maya, this is my favorite piece of artwork right here. And it's the artwork of the people in a circle on a bowl, and they were all like turned in. She goes, oh, that one? I didn't like it, and I was pushing it down. And they're all like, you know, I said, I'm going to throw it away. I go, that's my favorite. But so it's in there, so please look at it, because it's such a awesome piece, and some of the art that we do is the ones that we want to throw away. And while some of us were sitting here just now, it rained persimmon chunks. There was a squirrel, we think, eating some persimmons up there, and it was raining on our heads. Okay, so now we can eat. Thanks, Maya.
So we'll move the obstacles out of here, and if you know where the sunroom is, that's where food is, and you can just wander everywhere. And you might take your chair with you and plop yourself, use it wherever you plop yourself. So, oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But, you know, there's the back deck, there's the living room, dining room, front here. So just make yourself comfortable. And if you don't think you're going to sit here for food and you think you want to sit down, just bring your chair with you. Or, yeah, and we'll enjoy. And I'm sure that you'll talk more and exchange more stories. Thank you.
I bought mine in India.
Good job. B&E Enterprises. B&E Enterprises. We did it.
All right.
Woohoo!